And welcome back to another edition of Nexus Sports Radio Live. I am your host, Justin Kish, and today, guys, we're here talking about Ryback. Yes, everybody's been wanting to get my opinion on Ryback for quite a while now. I'm just waiting to figure out what's going on with this whole entire story. I know last night, Ryback was officially booked for the Battle Royal for the United States title on who's going to end up facing Kalisto next. Ryback and Kalisto had a good match at the Payback pay-per-view on the pre-show. A lot of people thought that was the best match out of the three matches that they had. I currently do agree with that. I've even said it on our Payback review. You guys can go and check that out here on the YouTube channel. Just go to the full podcast slider, and you guys can find it right there in the beginning. But like I said, what's next for Ryan Reeves right after the United States title hunt? That is another question, and that goes along for just about every superstar. The WWE does not know what is next in line following their superstars. Once they're done with one storyline, then it's time to go on to the next one. The WWE just does not know, and that is one it comes down to, Ryan Reeves as well, Ryback. But on top of that, it's his contract dispute. A lot of people have been saying, he's going to be leaving. He's pulling a CM Punk. He just doesn't want to be wrestling anymore. He hates wrestling. If you guys actually read his statement on his Tumblr account, I have actually put the entire, word for word statement on our website, nexussportsnetwork.com. Just click on the website. It's one of our featured articles right underneath the slider. You guys can find it, one of the latest posts, so you guys can go and click that up and you read that up and leave your comments. There's a lot that he said. He goes from talking about his current contract. Does he want to go there? Is he going to end up getting re-signed? They were not able to come to agreement with an extension even when he was the Intercontinental Champion. He was even talking about the money situation within the WWE, the merchandise sales. The WWE has given Ryback a whole lot, over the last few years. I think dating back to when he had that rivalry with CM Punk, that he tried to elevate him. CM Punk really tried, even as the champion, even tried to elevate Ryback. The fans just never really looked at Ryan Reeves, Ryback, as that guy. They never saw him as a legitimate main event contender. They didn't see him as a WWE champion. I did not see him as a champion. Thousands upon thousands, even millions of wrestling fans worldwide don't see him as champion. Ryback will always be a mid-card champion, and that's where he's going to end up going, unless something miraculously goes in the head of Vince McMahon or whoever the hell is running the business down the line. If Ryback even comes back, if he becomes champion, I'll be shocked as everybody else. But that's not happening, today, tomorrow, next week, next month, next year. I don't think that's happening at all. But, anything can happen in the world of wrestling. Never say never. But I'm not an advocate for him winning the championship. He's just not that guy. But, as time came on, past the whole CM Punk thing, CM Punk has been very verbal on Ryback, calling him a huge piece of work due to the, tilting his pelvis. I think he also gave him like a concussion, purposely breaking his ribs. There's just so much going on with him in that whole CM Punk situation. So as time goes on, he ends up going down to the main card again. I think he had a run as the IC title more than once. He ended up, falling even lower. They tried rebuilding him. They put him into a tag team with Curtis Axel, that's Ryback. I know they were in the tag team contender hunt for a little while. That ended up dying down. I think Curtis Axel is a much better competitor. If they take him out of this whole social outcast, they rebuild him again. I think that Curtis Axel can be a much better option. He was also an IC an IC champion at one point as well. But just Ryback never really connected with a whole lot of things. He's personally just an independent, by himself kind of guy in the ring. Don't put him in tag team matches, and you just, I think you just get for what you get from him. But now that time has come on, they rebooked him as, a comedy act to really, be like the next Goldberg. I thought that's the final straw. This is the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. They gave him the shorts, they gave him the gloves, they gave him just about everything you have to look at with Goldberg. They gave it to him. They made him look exactly like Goldberg, and the fans don't even like it. It's just like how the WWE tried to, put shoulder pads and, eye makeup, demolition, like the Ascension. They did that just like the Ascension. They did that, try to mimic Demolition and the Road Warriors. WWE is failing miserably at these gimmick China rebirths right now. It's just not working, and it's hurting superstars more than anything. And Ryback fell to it. He fell into the lines of the Goldberg. Goldberg had a piss poor, run in the WWE. And Ryback, as of late, is having a piss poor run in the WWE as well. Now, what does this mean for Ryback going down the line? Will a contract come together? I think the WWE will end up, keeping him around. It's going to take some time because he still has a couple of months left on his contract. But the problem is, the WWE now has to make the decision right now. They can release him from his contract, and he can go onto the independent scene. He can even get picked up by TNA. I know TNA is notorious for pushing some, big talent, former WWE talent, and building him up as the next big thing. As the next big thing, Drew Galloway is the biggest example. He's now the TNA World Champion. Is Ryan Reeves going over to TNA if he gets cut by the WWE? Maybe not. We'll just have to wait and see how the things turn out. But it's a pretty interesting, situation. It's a pretty sticky situation right now. Even though Ryback himself even said it, he could be cut by the WWE. I think it will help him. He'll be able to really rebuild his name if he does go to TNA. That's a promotion where he can be a contender for a world champion, but it's not really going to mean much because, TNA is just on spaghetti legs. I said it on a podcast before. TNA will need all the help that they can get. They lost everybody, and I mean everybody. They have a couple of guys on the injury list. The whole Hardy storyline between versing off against each other is just not working in my book. I'm not saying that Ryback could be the guy to save the day, but if you put him into the whole situation, maybe the TNA brand will rebuild him and put him into a storyline and probably push him for the TNA championship. TNA has done that a whole bunch, and they've done it to a couple of guys, and maybe Ryback could be the guy that can go to TNA and find success over there, rather than finding the success in the granddaddy of them all in the WWE.